Good morning, CMSD scholars, caregivers, and everyone watching today. It is July 15th, 2020, and Mrs. Gus and I are here to talk all about the Cleveland Public Libraries.
The pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic on which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Say a very special thank you to our favorite Cleveland Public Librarian, Laura McShane. She is absolutely amazing and extremely resourceful. We'd also like to thank everyone who contributed to this segment today by talking about what their favorite novel is. All right, so let's look at today's standards. So the first one we're going to take a look at is citing textual evidence. Now, we've done this in the past, but we've often been looking at informational text. Today, we're going to flip to literature. So we're going to be looking at some fiction stories. We also are going to be taking a look at determining a theme or a central idea of a text. And what's so great about so many fiction stories is a lot of times there are films that accompany them. So we are going to be comparing and contrasting the written story to the filmed version. And we're also going to be adding in figurative language, word relationships, and nuances in word meanings.
Okay, so good morning again, and this week we're highlighting the Cleveland Public Library and why it's important to read during the summer and throughout the year. So I'm going to show you a couple different bookshelves that we have in the house and different genres. So I hope you enjoy. It's always a good idea to pick up a book whenever you can. We like to go to book sales, or we have little libraries in the neighborhood, like 50 cents, sometimes 25 cents.
Hi, my name is Pauline Rodriguez. My favorite book is called The Sea of Jokes. It's my favorite book because it has a lot of tension, action, and magic, and that's the kind of books I like to read about.
So let's take a look at the history of the Cleveland Public Library. The main library in downtown Cleveland consists of the historic main library building, built in 1925 and renovated in 1999. The Lewis Stokes Wing, completed in 1997, and the Eastman Reading Garden, located between the two buildings. The two buildings and the garden take up an entire city block on Superior Avenue, between East 3rd Street and East 6th Street. The main library's subject departments are divided between the two buildings. First opening. Cleveland Public Library first opened as a public school library for the Cleveland Board of Education in 1869. Isn't that cool? It was the first large public library to allow people to select their own books directly from its bookshelves. The original estimate of 5,000 daily users was soon eclipsed by the early 1930s. More than 12,000. Think about how many people that is. Our school has about 500 scholars. Individuals walk through the doors every day. The Plain Dealer. By the 1950s, the main library's collection had tripled in size and the library was short on space. In November 1957, voters approved a $3 million bond issue for the library to purchase and renovate the 6-story building that was the former location of the Plain Dealer. April 12, 1997, an entirely new downtown building was dedicated on April 12, 1997, with 11 floors, including a lower level. The new 267,000 square foot building has more than 30 miles of bookshelves, enough for 1.3 million books, and is equipped with the latest electronic resources. Lewis Stokes. The new building is named for Cleveland native Louis Stokes, who in 1968 became the first African American elected to the U.S. Congress from Ohio. During his illustrious career, Representative Stokes helped found the Congressional Black Caucus. He became the first Black member of the powerful House Appropriations Committee. He was reelected 14 times before retiring in 1998.
Hey, so we have another bookshelf in the house, and on this bookshelf is a collection of different genres, and these are books that I collected when the kids were young. So like I said, anytime that you get a chance to get a new book, it's always great to always have in your house. Let me just pull some out. A Million Fish, More or Less. We have a book about trains. We have a book about optical illusions. So it's always good to have a lot of diversity when you build your bookshelf. And we also have a game. So this game is Bananagrams. And my sister actually turned me onto this game. It's almost similar to Scrabble. And what you do when you play Bananagrams is you build on your vocabulary. And we had a really good time with Mr. Brian Hare a couple years ago playing this. His wife is a teacher at Clark Elementary, and she's phenomenal, as is Mr. Hare. So if you can get your hands on Bananagram, that's awesome.
Visual arts. Demonstrating the library's continuing support for the visual arts, the library board commissioned a substantial collection of permanent art to be included in the buildings and garden. You have to check this out. It is truly remarkable. 13 artists of local and national reputation created the original art for the main library, the Louis Stokes Wing, and the Eastman Reading Garden. Selected by a jury, coordinated with the Committee for Public Art, the artworks are significant additions to the libraries and the city's artistic heritage. One of my favorites is the smallest book. This is Mrs. Gus's absolute favorite. Today, the Cleveland Public Library circulates one of the largest and most extensive collections in the country, boasting close to 10 million items. If you're there, you have to check out the smallest book. Another really cool thing is the chess collection. You must check this out. The chess pieces are so incredibly unique, each one to its own. Notice the salt and pepper shakers.
Okay, so those are encyclopedias. And you know what's really cool is we finished off the year with a book called Maniac McGee, a novel called Maniac McGee, and in it the protagonist, main character, just loved getting his hands on an encyclopedia. And I was fortunate enough a couple weeks ago to find that whole entire set for $4. So if you can get your hands on an encyclopedia, it's like a Google, but it's handheld. And I think I have it upside down, but I really don't. So when you get an encyclopedia, they're labeled with numbers and it's alphabetical order. And I remember when I was little, my mom and all of our brothers and sisters would go to the grocery store, and we would wait for every edition of the encyclopedia, and we would just we just ate it up, no pun intended, because we were at the grocery store. But if you can get hold of an encyclopedia, especially nowadays that we can't get in libraries yet, they're so fun. All you do is look up, so this is number 25, and it's W through Z. So if I wanted to look up watch, like a watch that you wear, I would just open up the book, go to WATCH, and I could learn the history of a watch. So this is, I think, pretty cool.
Hello, my name is Miss Evenson, and I teach middle school at Scranton Elementary. And I was asked the question, is it important for middle school students to analyze and be exposed to higher level texts such as Shakespeare and such. And after much thought, some of the pros and cons to analyzing higher level text I would like to discuss. So it's really important for students to analyze text that is not too easy and that is not too hard for them. That is when the most learning takes place. That's where you get the most bang for your buck. Text cannot be too easy and text cannot be too hard. So, but it is important for them to be exposed to all different levels of text. So if the text is too easy, there's very little learning going on. They're going to know most of the words. They're not going to be exposed to new vocabulary. They're not really going to be challenged in the content or the topic of the text that they're reading. And if it's too difficult, students often become frustrated, right? And they begin to check out, so to speak. And often then will develop more of a dislike for reading, and because they're feeling frustration levels. And but you will have some students who, of course, are self-learners and lifelong learners, and they're going to push themselves through that hard text and try to get the most out of it. But it's really important for teachers to monitor that so that you are developing lifelong readers and readers who are kind of navigating through and problem solving through their reading of various texts. So you want to kind of keep asking yourself, how much is too much? And I don't want my students to be checking out. That's not what we want. Either way, if the text is too easy or the text is too hard, we don't want them ever to be checking out of what we're trying to do. Now, if we were to talk about higher level texts such as Shakespeare, things like that, why is that important? So, and should we be teaching things like that? Is that important for middle school students to be analyzing? So, it is important in some respects, such as, the themes of Shakespeare are universal, they're timeless. His works connect with a very large range of audience, so many of our students can relate and find some sort of connection through analyzing Shakespeare once they get through all the difficult parts, or, they're going to feel proud of themselves for being able to navigate and get through those difficult parts, possibly with the help of their teacher, things like that. It also opens their eyes to the time period of history and culture of those times. Also, it really makes your brain work, right? In order to analyze something as difficult as Shakespeare. And once you feel like you can analyze something like that, you're really going to feel like you can analyze anything. And you're going to feel accomplished. You're going to feel, on top of the world, so to speak. Also Shakespeare's going to expose you to, different vocabulary, things like that. Our language, just through reading Shakespeare invented something like 1,700 or 2,000 of our current common words that we use today came from Shakespeare. Character analysis in Shakespeare is important. He has really, through his writing, has an understanding of human nature and heroes and heroines, and very rich in language. And one of the most important parts is there's a universal connection with Shakespeare. He touches on love and loss and honor and anger and despair and jealousy, fear, courage, the gift of wonder. All of those things are really important. But from my own personal experience, I feel like, Students really should be exposed to some things that are easy for them, things that are at level for them, and then things that are most difficult for them. And if they're exposed to any one of those too much, then you're really not developing the whole student. There needs to be balance within those 3 levels. Think of things like sports. I could use my son as a wrestler. When he goes into practice every day, the goal is he wrestles somebody who is less skilled than him, and then he feels very accomplished. He wrestles somebody at level for him, which is a challenge, and sometimes he's going to win, sometimes he's going to lose. And then he's going to wrestle students who are above his level, which majority of the time he might lose, but he's developing and closing that gap between him and that accelerated wrestler. And it's the same kind of thing in academics and the same kind of thing with reading. So there's my take. Those are my opinions as far as should middle school students analyze higher level text, such as Shakespeare, for example. I hope this helped, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, Ms. Evenson. So now we are going to move on to some remarkable and amazing timeless novels. And we're going to begin with The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. So if you're interested in a teen gang in rural Oklahoma, the Greasers are perpetually at odds with the Socials, a rival group. So it's the Greasers versus the Socials. When the Greasers, Ponyboy, that's his name, and Johnny get into a brawl that ends in the death of a Social member, the boys are forced to go into hiding. Soon, Ponyboy and Johnny, along with the intense Dallas and their other Greaser buddies, must contend with the consequences of their violent lives. While some Greasers try to achieve redemption, others meet tragic ends. There are so many amazing lessons to be learned from this story, and it's timeless because although it's not taking place in 2020, so many of the themes and actions remain the same. So let's take a look at some themes. Within The Outsiders, we're going to find divided communities. Ponyboy stands in the middle of 2 major conflicts. All right, the conflict between the Socials and the Greasers, and a conflict within his own family between Ponyboy and Derry. Empathy. Empathy is the ability to see things through another person's perspective. This is all throughout the novel. Preserving childhood innocence. The Outsiders shows the importance of preserving the hope, open-mindedness, and appreciation and beauty that are characteristic of childhood. Let's take a look at the story.
The Outsiders. Ponyboy. Dallas. Johnny. Cherry. Soda Pop. Daryl. 2-Bit. Steve. Bob. S.E. Hinton's classic novel comes to the screen, capturing all the intensity, all the excitement, all the emotions of youth. The Outsiders, directed by Francis Coppola.
Hi, I'm Eric Gordon, Superintendent CEO of the Cleveland Metropolitan School District. Wow, to name my favorite novel, that's a tough one. One that comes to mind, though, is The Alienist by Caleb Carr. I really like this book because it's historical fiction set at the turn of the 19th century, 1800s, in New York City. And it's one of the books that gave me a deeper passion and interest in history itself. I recommend you check it out, and can't wait to hear what your favorite novels are as well. Thanks.
Up next is the novel Wonder. So, Wonder is a story that really highlights how important it is to be kind. Born with facial differences that up until now have prevented him from going to a mainstream school, Augie Pullman becomes the most unlikely of heroes when he enters the local 5th grade. As his family, his new classmates, and the larger community all struggle to discover their compassion and acceptance, Augie's extraordinary journey will unite them and prove you can't blend in when you were born to stand out. So I want you to think of these quotes below. Each one of these 4 quotes came from the novel. All right, we'd like you to analyze the meaning using correct sentence structure and connect it to real-world events in your life. You have 4 to choose from. The first one, courage, kindness, friendship, character. These are the qualities that define us as human beings and propel us on occasion to greatness. Second one, when given the choice between being right or being kind, choose kind. Third, we carry with us as human beings not just the capacity to be kind, but the very choice of kindness. 4, it's what you've done with your time, how you've chosen to spend your days, and whom you've touched this year. That, to me, is the greatest measure of success. These are really hard to choose from. They are all 4 phenomenal quotes, but we would like you to choose one. And please connect it to your real life. How do you see this play a part in your own life?
My name is Augie Pullman. Next week, I start 5th grade. And since I've never been to real school before, I'm pretty much totally petrified.
I'll see you later.
Augie, you don't want to walk up with your parents because it's not cool.
But you're cool.
I know I am, but technically most dads aren't. Neither are these helmets.
Dear God, please make them be nice to him.
I know I'm not an ordinary 10-year-old kid. I've had 27 surgeries. They've helped me to breathe, to see, to hear without a hearing aid, but none of them have made me look ordinary.
The incubator, Bunsen burners. Oh, and this is an eraser.
You know what an eraser is, right?
Look at his face. I've never seen anything that ugly in my life.
If I looked like him, I'd swear I'd put a hood over my face.
I know you don't always like it, but I love it. It's my son's face.
You are not ugly, Augie.
You just have to say that because you're my mom.
Because I'm your mom, it counts the most. Because I know you the most.
Hi. You don't have to do this. I don't know what you're talking about, Augie. You don't have to pretend is all I'm saying. Augie! Okay, I'm really sorry. Why are you sitting here then? Because I want some nice friends for a change. Me too.
Who is it that I aspire to be? That is the question that we should be asking ourselves all the time.
Hey, Jack, come sit here.
In a sec.
I'd like to be able to control the weather. That would be your superpower? That sounds pretty lame. What would you do? I'd be invisible.
You're the toughest kid in that school. Show them.
You can't blend in when you were born to stand out.
You ever thought about having plastic surgery?
Dude, this is after plastic surgery. It takes a lot of work to look this good.
Hello everyone, my name is Megan Traum. Mrs. Gus asked if I wouldn't mind sharing one of my favorite books with all of you today. I like to read a lot and I couldn't just pick one, so I thought I'd share an old favorite that I just finished reading as well as a new favorite that I'm reading now. The book that's my old favorite is a book that's called The Rainbow Comes and Goes. It's written by Anderson Cooper and his mother, Gloria Vanderbilt. You might know Anderson Cooper. He's a journalist on television, and his mother is famous in her own right. The book is letters back and forth sent from emails of Anderson kind of interviewing his mother and the life that she had, which is amazing and super interesting, happening from the 1920s on. And she just recently passed, but it's actually a really inspiring story about the relationship from a mother and a son. So it was really good. One of my new favorites that I'm reading now is Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. And what's neat about this book is that it actually take place in Shaker Heights, which is a suburb of Cleveland. and it is set in the 1990s, but covers topics that are really relevant today. Both are really great books because they let me kind of see what happened in real life not that long ago, as well as takes a story and a novel that makes you really think about how life is today. I hope you keep reading. Thanks.
So if you love a story of super unique characters, of ghosts and graveyards, and just so many twists and turns, then the Graveyard book is definitely for you. This book was published in 2008, and it's Neil Gaiman's offbeat novel called The Graveyard Book. It's a quirky tale about Nobody Owens. Yep, that's his name. He's a human boy who was raised in a graveyard. Bod came to the graveyard as a toddler, escaping his parents' and siblings' murderer by the man, Jack. He was adopted by Mr. and Mrs. Owens. Bod is raised among an eccentric cast of characters, most of whom are dead and inhabit the graveyard. Tutored by the spirits and given freedom of the graveyard, he learns the special talents like fading in order to live in the graveyard comfortably and undetected, safe from the man Jack, who is still searching for him. On his journey through childhood and adolescence, he befriends a human girl, helps the spirit of a witch, opens and subsequently escapes a ghoul gate, wait till you see what that is, dances the macabre, which is a dance of the dead, and even attends school outside of the graveyard, where he confronts the school bullies. The characters in Bod's life are unique and influential. Silas, Bod's guardian and teacher, exists between the worlds of the living and dead. It's so cool. And he can move fluidly between the two in order to provide Bod with food and necessities to survive. Silas is a voice of wisdom and a mentor to Bod. Bod is also taught by Miss Lepescu, a wolf woman who imparts some important lessons that end up saving his life. Combined with friends like Liza Himstock, the graveyard witch, and Scarlet Perkins, Bod's human friend, Bod's experiences are in part shaped by his friends and teachers. I would so tell you to run to the Cleveland Public Library and check out this novel. You will not want to put it down. Mrs. Gus and I can never put it down every year. Okay, so let's take a look at some figurative language you're going to find in the Graveyard book. So as a reminder, figurative language is making comparisons without using the literal meaning of things. Okay, so similes, metaphors, alliteration, hyperbole, onomatopoeia, all right, all of those are examples of figurative language. Okay, so let's take a look. Number one, minds will not hold you. Okay, number two, feel as if he had been dancing for hours. Number three, his shoes were polished to such a shine that they looked like dark mirrors. All right, you think you know what they are? All right, let's check. All right, if you said personification for number one, alliteration for number two, and simile for number three, you got it.
When Bod's family is killed, he takes refuge in a graveyard. Is adopted by its inhabitants and taught all of the things that dead people know. Bod grows up in a world of his own, a world where he's caught between the living and the dead. Sometimes the world on the outside of a graveyard can be a dangerous place, and it will take more than just a couple of good-hearted souls to raise a child. It will take a graveyard. The Graveyard Book is a tale of friendship, family, and how truly great it is to be alive.
My favorite book is this book here called Hard Work, which is a book about Roy Williams, the head coach of the North Carolina men's basketball program. This is my favorite book because not only did I get to learn more about the history of my favorite basketball program and learn a lot more about a very respected coach. But I also learned about leadership and the path that Roy took into becoming the leader that he is today.
Next up is an awesome and very informative novel called The Rock in the River. So we acquired this novel from the Cleveland Book Bank. Thank you. So this novel is by Kika Magoon. And in The Rock in the River, 14-year-old Sam Childs has to decide if he wants to be the rock or the river. Sam lives in Chicago in 1968 during the Civil Rights Movement. His father, Roland Child, is a civil rights activist that speaks against violence. All right, think about this. How cool is that thought? Are you a rock or a river?
There's something happening here, but what it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop, children. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
Good morning, my name is Dawn Teets. I am a CMSD educator here to talk to you about reading over the summer. During the school year, I spend so much of my time reading for academic purposes that what I love about the summer is my ability to read for pleasure. I'm here to talk to you today about the author John Green. A few years ago, my daughter and I were on a John Green binge. We started with the ever-famous The Fault in Our Stars and moved on to Paper Towns. The Fault in Our Stars is a story of a 16-year-old girl, Hazel Grace, who is dealing with thyroid cancer and has trouble breathing. Her parents force her to go to a support group where she meets a boy, Augustus Water, who's an ex-basketball player because he lost his leg. They meet and fall in love. In Paper Towns, the main character, Quentin, they call him Q, is on a hunt looking for his neighbor and his childhood sweetheart, Margot, who has gone missing. We also read that summer, we read John Green Looking for Alaska, An Abundance of Catherines, and Will Grayson, Will Grayson. In Looking for Alaska, the main character Miles, they call him Pudge, is attending boarding school. He makes a few close friends, so the first half of the story you're learning about him and his friends. Then his close friend, Alaska Young, a girl, dies, and they spend the second half of the story trying to find out or discover the details that just don't make sense about her death. In An Abundance of Catherine, the main character, Colin, is a child prodigy, so he's a genius, and he spends most of his time worrying that he's going to lose his ability of being a genius. Ironically, we also learn about the fact that he's dated 19 girls named Catherine, all spelled the same way. Will Grayson's a little bit more serious. It's about two boys that have the same name, Will Grayson. In the odd number chapters, we see high school through the eyes of a heterosexual teenage boy, and in the even number chapters, we see high school through the eyes of a depressed gay teenage boy. Even though the stories are told from two different points of view, it blends together well, and it's enjoyable. Recently, I purchased the book Turtles All the Way Down. My daughter hasn't read it, but I've just started it and I'm enjoying it. The 16-year-old girl, main character, Asa, is trying to discover mysteries about a fugitive billionaire. I'm not too far into it, but I'm enjoying it. So that's my recommendation to middle schoolers and high school is John Green. I hope you'll give one of his books a try.
Incoming 8th graders, you will be reading an excerpt from The Boy in the Striped Pajamas when we study World War II in ELA. This is such a remarkable story of friendship and perspective. Okay, so during World War II, 8-year-old Bruno and his family leave Berlin. All right, they moved near a concentration camp where his father has become a very important person. All right, he's unhappy and he's lonely, And although he's not allowed outside of his house, he wanders behind the house one day and he meets Shmuel, who is a Jewish boy of his age. Although the barbed wire fence of the camp separates them, the two boys begin a forbidden friendship, oblivious to the real nature of their surroundings. This is a very, very unique and heartwarming story of a friendship between two boys who really don't understand each other's lives.
I know it's hard, but we're all having to say goodbye to our friends for the time being.
Moving? Where to?
The thing about being a soldier is that if your country needs you to go somewhere, you'll go. Think of it as an adventure, like in one of your books.
Children, look. Our new home.
What are you doing?
Exploring!
No, not at the back.
Hello. How old are you? 8. Me too. Why do you wear pajamas all day? The soldiers. They took all our clothes away. My dad's a soldier, but not the sort that takes people's clothes away. That one there, 2 there. This one. No, that one. Here. No. It's a work camp. They're in there because they're the enemy. The enemy?
All you need to know about my work here, Bruno, is that it's very important to our country.
The work your father is doing here is history in the making.
Is everything all right? We can't find Papa.
I'm a soldier. Soldiers fight wars.
That isn't war!
It's a vital part of it.
We're not supposed to be friends, you and me. We're meant to be enemies. Dad's a good man. Of course he is.
Welcome to Cleveland Public Library, the People's University. Although our branches and locations are closed at the moment, there's still plenty of programs and services for you to enjoy online. Come on, let's check it out.
Start your day with a good book. The library offers titles for every age and reading level. We also have virtual programs that inspire creativity and a love of reading.
You can access your virtual summer library experience at cpo.org. All you need is your library card to get started. It's not too late to join Summer Lit League, Cleveland's hottest summer reading program. Read books to earn cool prizes like a Nintendo Switch and an Apple iPad. Hurry up, the program ends Saturday, July 25th. You can sign up on cpo.org. Let your imagination run wild with virtual story time. Every week, our library staff, the Cavs, and other local celebrities read popular children's books on our website and YouTube. If you prefer an ebook, Overdrive, Hoopla, and Tumblebooks can bring that book to life through animation, narration, sounds, and music. Attention comic book lovers! From superhero stories to anime, Cleveland Public Library has a huge collection of graphic novels just for you. It's all here on cpo.org. Click on Books, Movies, and More, or call your local branch for help. The library has music too. When our doors reopen, visit the South and Rockport branches to create your own beats using our recording studios. CPL also offers gaming and esports. It's called CPL Play. Starting this month, learn from the best gamers in the region on Cleveland Public Library's Twitch TV channel.
But if video games aren't your thing, the library is offering tutoring and homework help online this summer. And if you're looking for a snack, the library is partnering with the Greater Cleveland Food Bank to offer meals every Thursday at one of these 4 locations. But remember, these meals are for kids.
You can get copy, fax, and print services curbside. And if you're looking to use the internet, just come outside Main Library and any of our 27 neighborhood branches. Our Wi-Fi signal is strong and ready for you to use.
Don't forget your library card is your key to discovery at Cleveland Public Library. If you don't have one, visit cpo.org today to get it.
We miss you, and we can't wait to see you at one of our online programs or visit us at one of our many pickup locations. And when you do, don't forget to bring your mask. Have a great summer.
In this lesson, you will learn about the sum of the interior angles of a triangle. My name is Tamara Zelwin, and I am a 7th and 8th grade math teacher at Orchard STEM School. In this lesson, you will learn how to find the sum of the interior angles of a triangle and apply this concept within a real-life context. I hope you enjoy the lesson. The sum of the interior angles of all triangles is 180 degrees. There are 3 kinds of triangles based on their angles: acute, obtuse, and right triangles. There are also 3 kinds of triangles based on their side lengths. They are equilateral, scalene, and isosceles triangles. Straight angles measure 180 degrees. All triangles have 3 angles, hence the name triangle. When you watch the video, you will see the narrator use 3 different types of triangles to show that the sum of the interior or inside angles of any kind of triangle is always 180 degrees. Watch the video and notice this conclusion. We will use this information for a project after the video. Enjoy.
Hey, this is Mr. Leach with Simpson Math. Today I'm going to be showing you how you can physically see how the sum of the interior angles of a triangle do in fact add up to 180 degrees. To do that, I've taken some pieces of colored paper and I've cut them into some various triangles. I have an equilateral triangle, an obtuse triangle, and an acute triangle. Let me first show you with the equilateral triangle. So what you need to do is to draw a triangle on a piece of paper, cut it out, and label the angles A, B, and C. You don't have to make an equilateral triangle. It could be obtuse or acute. Just use your creativity. What you're going to then do is to then cut out each angle. Using a straight edge, I drew a straight line on this piece of paper. If in fact the interior angles of this triangle add up to be 180 degrees, then I should be able to fit them together like a jigsaw puzzle using this line as a boundary. So let's take angle A and put it up against the line. Let's take angle B, put it next to angle A, and then angle C should fit in right next to it. And in fact it does. So as you can see, that this is 180 degrees, because remember a full circle would be 360, so this is half, which is just 180 degrees. Now, this isn't a proof in and of itself, because we just did it one time, and it was an equilateral triangle. Now I want you to take a piece of paper and cut out a triangle. It can be obtuse, it can be acute, make it as weird as you want to make it, and I want you to see if this rule still applies. I'm going to do mine with this acute and this obtuse triangle. I want you to pause the video and try that on your own. As you can see with both the obtuse and the acute triangles, when I fit their angles together like a jigsaw puzzle, they all fit together, showing that again for these triangles that the sum of the interior angles is indeed 180 degrees. And I'm certain for any triangle that you drew with a straight edge and cut out, this would happen every single time because the sum of the interior angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. I hope seeing it physically helped you understand this theorem a little bit more.
So here is the project description. Go for a walk in your neighborhood or somewhere you enjoy. Make sure you wear a mask. If you cannot take a walk, or you would prefer not to, you can Google images of roofs. Take at least 3 pictures of triangular roofs on a mobile device. Then use a measuring tool to measure the angles of 2 sides of the roof. You can use a protractor, or if you use an iPad, you can use the built-in measuring tool, as I do in the video. Use what you learned about the sum of the interior angles of triangles to calculate the third angle without actually measuring. Make sure you watch this video before you do your project. This video will show you how to solve for missing angles in triangles when you are given 2 angles and need to find the third. I will later in this demonstration model for you how to apply this skill in the context of this project. Then you will do the project yourself and share with someone. Please reach out if you have any questions.
Welcome to Math with Mr. J. In this video, we're going to be discussing how to find missing angles of triangles. And as you can see, for example here, there are 2 triangles on your screen with an X in place of one of the angle measures. So those are our missing angles that we need to find. Now, up top is a very important note we need to keep in mind. Remember, angles need to equal 180 degrees. And this 180 degrees is the magic number for every single triangle, no matter what it looks like or how it's classified. When you add the 3 angles up for a triangle, it's going to equal 180 degrees. So let's jump right into number 1 here and see how we find a missing angle. So like I mentioned earlier, this X is our missing piece within that triangle, our missing angle measure. So the first thing we need to do is take a look at what we are given. And we're given 75 degrees and 35 degrees. So we need to add what we're given together. So 75 plus 35. And that gets us 110 degrees. So we know we have 110 degrees out of the 180 right now. So what we need to do now is take 180 degrees and subtract that 110. And that will give us our missing piece. That X is going to equal 70 degrees. So X equals 70 degrees. Again, we added what we were given, the 75 and 35. That got us to 110 degrees. And then we do 180 minus that 110, and it gives us our missing piece. Now, if we do 70 plus the 75 plus the 35, it's going to equal our magic number for triangles, 180 degrees. So let's take a look at number 2. We're given 50 degrees and 100 degrees. So the first thing we need to do is add those together. So 100 plus 50 gives us 150 degrees. So now we need to do 180 degrees minus that 150, and it's going to give us our missing piece up here, that x. So 180 minus the 150 gives us 30 degrees. So x for number 2 equals 30 degrees. And if we add all three of those angles up, 30 plus 50 is 80, plus that 100 is 180 degrees. So we hit our magic number. So there you have it. There's finding the missing angle of a triangle. Add what you're given, and then subtract that from 180 degrees. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, peace.
In this example, we have a roof that has a triangular shape. The left-hand side of the roof, according to our measuring tool, measures 35 degrees. As I move the measuring tool to the other side of the roof and measure the angle on the right side, I can see that that second angle also measures 35 degrees. So if you look on the left-hand side, I added 35 plus 35 plus x, which is my missing angle, to get 180 degrees. I then subtracted 70 from both sides of my equation and determined, using the fact that the sum of all of the angles are 180, that the third or the missing angle is 110 degrees. As you can see from our second example, the angle on the left-hand side, according to our measuring tool, is 38 degrees. The angle on our right-hand side is 35 degrees. And just like in our first example, the missing angle is labeled x. Again, using the fact that the sum of the interior angles of all triangles is 180, I add 38 and 35 to get a sum of 73. 73 plus x equals 180. Again, to solve for x, I subtracted 73 from both sides of my equation and found that my missing angle, labeled x, is 107 degrees. In our third and final example, we can also see that the angle on the left-hand side of our third roof, using the measuring tool, measures 41 degrees. As we move the measuring tool over to the right-hand side angle, we see that that angle measures 38 degrees. Using the fact that the sum of all three angles measures 180 degrees, I again subtracted 79 from both sides of the equation to find the value of the third and missing angle labeled x. When I subtract 79 from both sides, I've calculated that x is equal to 101 degrees. In summary, in today's lesson, you learned the following. The sum of all interior angles of a triangle are 180 degrees. To find the missing angle in a triangle, add the two angles you know and subtract from 180 to find the angle you do not know. You can use this skill in real life, and it is important for work that involves construction, specifically in the work with roofs. I hope that you enjoyed today's lesson.
This is CMSD.
I am. Yo soy.
I am Cleveland's public schools.
Wow, I did it. Well, I'm excited. Happy to be here. I'm happy to graduate.
Congratulations! I feel great. I'm about to graduate. I'm done. It's lit.
I'm super excited.
Aaliyah, Monique, Asia.
I can't wait to see what this class does.
It was a goal, and now that I'm finally accomplished it, I'm happy.
Well, our students have been really fantastic. This isn't what they wanted. It's not what I wanted. This is my first class that I came here 13 years ago when they were kindergartners, and I was looking forward to the celebrations more than I ever do. But we have to be safe, and COVID-19 isn't gone, and as the kids have gone through, they've just had joy on their face. They're honking their horns, their families are celebrating, and so we're going to make the best of this because that's what Cleveland does.
I'm just blessed that we still was able to do something like this to celebrate us, because this is a really big deal to get your diploma and just graduate.
I'm about to go to a whole new chapter in my life, college. It's different. I'm very confident I'm going to accomplish everything in life.